Halo Episode 6, Solace. Amazing. Masterclass. Before we begin, I got to say a few things. Number one, I just got back from an amazing vacation. However, dealing with some eye issues again, as you probably noticed. Some extra tears in my left eye. It's life. We move on, okay? And I'm not crying because Halo, although I could very easily cry from Halo. But I will say this. If by now you are not a fan of the Halo TV show, get the hell out of my channel. It's good. It's good stuff. I'm tired of defending it. I knew it was going to take some time to build up. I understand the lore of Halo. It's the title of this video. It's the theme behind my channel. I understand Halo incredibly well. I read the books. I play the games. I am very, very familiar with the extended universe. And I knew it would take time for this show to develop and to touch on a lot of those points that the game has really gotten wrong. And I have to say that I think they're doing a really good job of it. This episode, entitled Solace, takes place right after that insane combat at the end of episode number 5. I didn't expect a whole lot of action this episode. This is definitely time for reflection, and we got a lot of that. Some key things I want to touch on. I'm going to be doing a book review here probably next week on Halo Glasslands. The reason why is a lot of the themes discussed in that book surprisingly made their way into this episode, and I was very, very happy for that. I always think of what's the best entry point for people when it comes to Halo, and I would say Glasslands, maybe Fall of Reach or Glasslands are two of the best books I think people could really enjoy. I'll talk about that more next week, but there's definitely a lot of parallels drawn between the Glasslands story and John's discovery of who and what, the Spartan 2 program is and how it's affected his life. A lot of people just kind of gloss over this in the game, that what happened to these poor children taken from their families and basically presumed dead and all these horrible things that were done to them ultimately did net some pretty badass Spartans and some amazing combat. But let's not forget the fact these were kids, innocent kids, who were essentially brainwashed into being super soldiers. And the show talks a lot about that in this episode, and I really liked it. John really pushing the envelope with Cortana was something that I really wanted to see, because clearly their relationship is not very friendly right now. It may be later, but it's definitely not right now. John pushing himself to the limit to essentially murder Halsey, to basically, give her lethal doses of radiation, standing by, listening to Cortana basically plead while Halsey's pleading. For him to see what the limits were was a very, very important step in this show. The engineer in me really needed to see that. I'm glad we did. John now has a very, very good understanding of what he can and can't do in this world, and I'll be curious to see how he continues to push the envelope. That was incredibly, incredibly powerful stuff. The show continues to deliver on very important, emotional, impactful scenes. That was a really, really good one. Admiral Paganovsky, we knew she was up to no good. Again, drawing from some of my Halo stuff in the books, she's in charge of ONI, the Office of Naval Intelligence. She's a shrill old lady who knows everything about everything. And here, again, 3 steps ahead of everybody else, basically working the side deal with Catherine Halsey to kind of get her off the table, bringing in Miranda Keyes as, I wouldn't say a puppet at this point. We'll wait to see how that plays out. Really interesting to see that develop, kind of the trial and how they were able to put these chips on their head and basically be in the interrogation room virtually was very interesting as well. Of course, John comes in and kind of ruins it, but Miranda's starting to put together that, her mom and her dad are up to no good. I'll be curious to see who she ultimately allies with as she tries to prove herself. I think her and John are going to make very close companions. I'm curious to see how that works out. Another key moment here, I thought, was watching kind of the carnage unfold. Did you notice there's so many Easter eggs and nods to this show that really let me know, as far as people saying, people getting mad, the showrunners never played the game or never picked up Halo. whether that's true or not, they sure got a lot of things right, or somebody did. Did you notice the first aid kits they were using? The same first aid kits from Halo Combat Evolved. Phenomenal touch. Phenomenal touch when they're working on Kai, who is incredibly injured. We'll be curious to see how she kind of recovers, and her becoming self-aware as well of John, of kind of the horrors that happened to her, and them kind of almost kind of breaking off from the other Spartans in a sense of like they know the truth. And we're starting to see layers of friendships and alliances and coalitions forming in different packs. This is not the uniform. This is not the rugged, very stoic Halo team from like the Blue Team or Fire Team Osiris or anything like that. You're seeing a lot of fractures and splinters. Very interesting to see how that works out. Of course, I'll wrap up this review of just some gushing of these amazing points with this. Definitely with that final scene, John and McKee being able to basically teleport themselves somehow to the ring world Halo, and them looking up and seeing that. And I've got to imagine a lot of people, it took them back to Halo 1 when you start playing Halo 1 and you just look and you realize where you're standing, and then you look up and you see this giant ring all the way around you. It really starts to kind of put things together. We haven't seen much of a discussion of the Forerunners in this. They're kind of hinted at here and there. Obviously, this insane, incredible civilization. Why they did what they did with the Halo and everything is really uncovered in Halo 4. There's a lot of stuff in the books as well. The Greg Bear series really touches a lot on kind of why they did what they did, the importance of the didact, the importance of the librarian, kind of humanity's role in the fear of the flood, which we haven't seen yet. Maybe we won't for a while. I don't know. I think they're okay right now not being in the show, by the way. This is still a very alternate universe right now, but I think a hot and heavy war with the Covenant is definitely taking a very focal point in the show, and that's fine. That's fine. But I'll be curious to see, as the UNSC undoubtedly is going to find their way to the Halo and truly understand what it's for and why it's for, introducing us probably to monitors at some point and sentinels and, maybe even Prometheans this early. I'm not really sure, but they've done a really good job of carving out a very believable story. Bits and pieces, obviously, out of order from what we know of traditional Halo, right? And I'll talk more about this when I talk about Glasslands next week. It'll make a little more sense, but I'll just leave it by saying that them really picking up key pieces of lore and putting them together in their own unique tale, which does service the original story, continues to be amazing. I know I'm biased. I know that there's a lot of things that I inject into the show that may not be readily apparent to others. And there's probably a lot of moments in there where people look at this and go, man, like, I'm not really sure I understand why this happened or what's the point of that or whatever. But, I'm filling in the gaps in my own head. But I hope this encourages people, and I always end the reviews with this thought. I hope this encourages people to go read the books, go replay the games, understand the story, because it's a very, very fulfilling story. It's not quite over yet either, but it's a very fulfilling story. With that, I'm going to close out this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I'll be back again later in the week with some more Halo stuff. We got Season 2 for the game coming out. It'll probably be like Halo Takeover, honestly. And honestly, in my channel, that's not a bad thing. I mean, I kind of sort of like the game. Thank you all so much for watching. Take care of yourselves. And until next time, I will see you guys on the other side.